This week's episode of New on Music Row jam-packed with great news all over the country scene, including the 5 picks of the week, which features a host from American Idol, a gal for the last year and a half who has been making a huge impact in country music. Oh, and a dude who you should know about. He's also going to be our Rising Star Spotlight, and he's from the Midwest, too. All this and more on today's episode of New on Music Row, which you can only find here on the Rise Network. Make sure you stick around. It's coming at you in just a second. Hey everybody, welcome to New on Music Row. Chris Miles, your host, here again for another episode of What's Going On in Country Music. We're on episode 46. For those of you that are keeping track, I believe there's like a little counter at the beginning of this episode thing, so you probably saw it there as well too. But somebody told me like they wanted me to do it, so I'm doing it. But anyway, speaking of doing it, let's talk about what the picks did last week, right? Luke Combs, I Ain't No Cowboy, 3.2 million streams. Are we even anywhere near remotely surprised by that? He did release a new album last weekend as well too, so if you haven't checked it out, check it out. It's absolutely amazing. I listened to the whole thing, I don't know, probably like 7 or 8 times so far, and I can't, usually on albums there's like a song or two you're like, it's okay. There's every single song on that album just spoke to me in one way or another. So it's a great album, and what a great artist and showcasing his talents as well. Casey Musgraves was up next. Dry Spell, 3 million streams on that one. So a lot of people were like, "Oh, she's not doing anything. She's kind of done." Well, 3 million streams in a week? I don't think so. Next, Kane Brown's Woman. This one only had 800,000 streams, but like I had said, this one hasn't gotten too much press just yet. I've heard it on some of the Sirius stations, but locally, I don't think we've picked up on it just yet. But give it another week or so, and I bet you it's going to be up into like the millions of streams, just like some of the other stuff is as well. Then we had Jody Messina's Some Bridges, 35,000 streams for the week, which is about where I thought she was going to fall. Clearly, the 90s country's fans are paying her some attention, but that's why we're featuring her on the show, so that all the fans can listen to her. It is a great song. It's a great comeback. It's such great lyrical content, such a great story as well. You should check it out. It's on the playlist. It's on Spotify. New on Music Row is the title of that as well. And last but not least, Brian Martin's Tug of War, 800,000 streams last week, and just growing and growing. I mean, this is a guy that you need to have on your radar if you don't already. Just a great singer-songwriter as well. So that's the 5 picks from last week. What about the 5 picks from this week? Well, we're starting off with a gal from Hope Hull, Alabama. It feels like I've talked about her like almost every 5th or 6th show since she burst onto the music scene about a year and a half ago. A little bit longer than that, but a year and a half ago, everybody started. She was a household name. Of course, we're talking about Ella Langley. Loving Life Again is the new track from her. Check it out. There a couple of the tracks that came out recently, like Dandelion was kind of Loving Life with her, or Loving Life Again, I think is a really good one. So she's got, it's one of those scenarios, right? 6, 7, right? Yeah. Anyway. All right. We're not going to go any further. Luke Bryan is up next. New song from him, Country and She Knows It. I can't help but feel that this is a play on another song from like the 2000s. I don't know. Luke, of course, from Leesburg, Georgia. And I mean, we featured him a few weeks ago. Word on the Street was the latest track from him. But, everybody knows him for what, Country Girl Shake It For Me. I think that's probably like the most popular song that a lot of people know. At least I hear that one the most, even in and around our household. From Bend, Oregon, we got Max McNow, Stand Still, or subtitled My. If Max McNow is not on your radar, he needs to be. He is going to be headlining shows fairly quickly here, and you don't want to miss out. You want to be able to see him like before, he just blows up. He's making a name for himself. So another one to watch out for if he's not already on your radar. He needs to be. From Stevensville, Texas, we've got Hudson Westbrook with Hey Dallas, a fun sing-along song. I could see people singing in the shower to this. I could see this as like, when you get that list together of the tunes that you play in the car on a road trip and stuff like that, I can see this going on there as well. Hudson's been featured on the show a couple of times before. Painted You Pretty was the last one we featured from him. Exclusive, another track, and then also Sober. All three of those have made the 5 picks of the week in the time that we've been on, which is coming close to a whole year. As a matter of fact, April 25th. So we're at like 11 months right now. So happy 11 months. Up next, Frederick from Fredericktown, Ohio, Preston Cooper and his cut, One for the Road. And because of this cut and a couple others, actually, more so weak than like some of his other stuff, I've decided to feature him as the Rising Star Spotlight. So we'll talk about him just a little bit more. We'll go over some songs of his and things of that nature as well. But that is the 5 picks for the week. So reviewing once again, Loving Life Again, Ella Langley, Country and She Knows It, Luke Bryan. And every time I see that title, I can't help but think of the song from the 2000s. You know which one I'm talking about. Max McNow's Stand Still, subtitled My, such a great song. Hey Dallas, the one I think a lot of people are going to be singing along to this summer. Hudson Westbrook is the artist on that one. And last but not least, One for the Road, Preston Cooper, who is our Rising Star Spotlight. So we're going to segue right into that. Preston Cooper from the Midwest, Fredericktown, Ohio. You know him from his smash hit Week. Came out about a year ago, somewhere in that category. I think we featured him in like one of the first 5 or 6 shows. He went back into the studio, started doing a lot of stuff, did some touring as well. And he's coming out with some new stuff this year. We'll talk about that a little bit later. And we'll talk about the other songs that you can listen to of his. He'll be featured on the playlist right there on Spotify. We'll put Week on there. Of course, we're also going to have One for the Road on there as well. I may throw another track in there just because I really love Toledo Talking. And I think you might as well too. Check out Numbers on a Mailbox, One More Place, and I've Never Been, and also a song called The Takedown. All great stuff from him. He's got some amazing songwriting skills and just an amazing voice. His vocal style is often described as like a blowtorch vocal, and that's due to his power and his grit. You could probably compare him to, and I don't like to do this, but some people like to compare, right? Chris Stapleton comes to mind, Bob Seger, even Teddy Swims, all artists that I think he kind of, has the same flavor for. We'll put it that way. He's made his Grand Ole Opry debut on October 24th, 2025. He was introduced by country legend Vince Gill, who told the crowd it was a night Preston would remember for the rest of his life. And I think that goes without saying for anyone who makes their opera debut. Now, his music is a blend of country heart and smoky alternative rock with a distinct bluesy edge. So if you're on more of like the bluesy rock and roll side of country, you're definitely going to love him. That's why I love him as well, too. The long hair kind of gives it away, right? And no surprise here, people that compare him to like Chris Stapleton and Bob Seger is some of the influences that he lists as well. Chris Stapleton, Bob Seger, classic blues legends like B.B. King and Stevie Ray Vaughan. So you can see how his music and how his influences kind of blend in together and lead into the artist that he has become. Interesting story about how he was discovered. In 2023, he was playing a fundraiser in Toledo. And the headliners, some famous Nashville songwriters, the Warren Brothers, were supposed to be doing a meet and greet with fans, but they kept ducking back into the room because they were so stunned by Preston's voice. And I think when you hear Weak, you listen to that track and you can just hear how amazingly talented Preston is. Now, before his music career took off, he was actually known as the singing mailman. He had a 14-mile route that he walked every single day, and he would sing while he was dropping off people's letters and stuff. It's a really cool story. I like that. It's always fun to kind of dig in a little bit deeper and find out about some of these artists and the things that make him tick. He's toured with Riley Green, Trace Adkins, Cameron Marlowe, and Dierks Bentley, just to name a few. And we were talking about how the Warren Brothers, kind of were doing a meet and greet, but they were like, oh, who's this guy that's playing in this other room? Well, his talent is evident. And because of that, he landed his record deal with Big Machine Records after only playing 3 songs for label founder Scott Borchetta. So, like I said, if you've heard Weak, you already know who this guy is, and you already are. If you're not a super fan, you're probably a fan. Let's put it that way. And I think after you hear this week's release, One for the Road, maybe you'll turn the corner. Maybe you'll hop the fence and become a super fan of Preston's as well. I hope you do. He's got a great story. He grew up on a family farm with cattle and hay fields, which he says heavily influenced his honest grit and grace style of songwriting. He's also an outdoorsman. When he isn't touring or writing, he's a huge fan of hunting, camping, and hiking. I'm sure he even likes to fish as well, too. Most outdoorsmen do as well. So just to kind of give you that, well-rounded package of who Preston is, real down-to-earth, great talent, great singer-songwriter skills, and that is why he is the Rising Star Spotlight of the Week. So check him out. You can check out a couple of his tracks on Spotify. Of course, the title of that playlist is New on Music Row. Give it a like, give it a follow. Just like all the other stuff we do, give it a like, follow, subscribe, comment. Let me know if there's other artists you're looking at. Dallas has got a lot of new artists coming out, and in a couple of weeks, I think we're going to be talking to a couple of those artists as well, too. We'll see how those things pan out. But country music is just kind of on the rise all over the place, and artists are just popping up everywhere, even here in Chicago as well. So moving on to this date of country music history, of course, we're talking about March the 27th, born in 1974. Aubrey Haney, who is an American bluegrass musician. He plays the fiddle and the mandolin. Haney has worked with Shania Twain, Tim McGraw, Kenny Rogers, Darius Rucker, Luke Combs, Blake Shelton, and the list just goes on and on and on. So happy birthday to Aubrey, born on this date in 1974. Looking at 1965, Roger Miller was number one on the U.S. country charts with a song called King of the Road, which is heavily featured in the song, or in the soundtrack rather, and the movie Swingers as well. Speaking of movies, I've got another podcast. It's called Cheesy Popcorn. Co-hosted with a buddy of mine. His name is Anavar, although he likes to be called Avatar. I don't know why, but, that's just what it is. He said something about he wants the money for, how close his name is to that or whatever. I don't know. Anyway, listen to the podcast. You can hear him and all his craziness. And, of course, me laughing along with him and having a great time talking about movies, TV, all the things that are going on in entertainment and things of that nature. We're not, experts or anything like that, but, we do enjoy a good movie here and there. So check it out. It's called Cheesy Popcorn. New episodes come out every Thursday, and you can find those on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, and wherever you can stream a podcast as well. Plus, this podcast comes out every Friday. So stick around, subscribe, do all the things you do, and I appreciate it. In 1993, Clint Black was number one on the U.S. country charts with When My Ship Comes In, the final single released from his 1992 album, The Hard Way. 1998, Curb Records released Let It Go, which was the 11th album by Tim McGraw. Of course, it would enter the U.S. Billboard 200 at number one. It had 7 top 20 chart singles on the Hot Country Songs charts. And, probably one of... I don't want to say one of his greatest albums, but I do want to say a really good album in and of itself. If you dive a little bit deeper, listen to some of the other cuts that didn't hit the airwaves, I think it'll speak to you. And then on this date in 2011, Shania Twain was inducted into the Canadian Music Hall of Fame during the Juno Awards. Now, I don't know how many country artists are in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but with the way things are going and the way they're inducting other artists who aren't necessarily rock and roll, who knows? Maybe sooner or later, an artist who is more country than rock and roll will be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. We'll see. And that's a look at country music history on this date. Of course, we're talking about March the 27th. Moving on, the weekly pick. Parker McCollum's got a new song out there. It's called Montgomery County. Now, here's the thing. I like songs that have a really good lyrical content. And for those of you that are into the melody of songs, you're probably going to take a listen to the song and you'll be like, whatever. I encourage you to stop. And then I encourage you to actually listen to the lyrics of the song. If you're on Spotify or even Apple, I know you can pull up the lyrics there. You could do what I used to do back in the day, which was go to the internet and pull the lyrics up there too. Or even further back in the day when we had CDs and DVDs and all that other stuff. Yeah, I know. I went way back. we used to have what was called liner notes. We actually used to have the lyrics in a little booklet format or a sheet format in front of us. And we used to like read the lyrics and sing along at the same time, or at least I did. I don't know. Maybe I'm just the weirdo. But anyway, Parker McCollum is from Conroe, Texas. Great stuff from him, of course. Handle on You, Pretty Heart. What Kind of Man, To Be Loved by You. The last track we featured from him on the top five, the 5 picks of the week, was Big Old Fancy House. And Montgomery County, I think, is one that needs to be on your playlist. Speaking of playlists, it will be on ours, the Spotify playlist, new on Music Row. Real easy to find. Give it a like, give it a subscribe. Every week we update it with the music that we talk about here on the show because, for licensing purposes and stuff like that, we can't really necessarily play the songs for you. I would love to, but that's our way to kind of compromise, so to speak. If you don't know who Parker McCollum is, let me introduce you. Growing up, his biggest ambition actually wasn't music. He wanted to be the starting quarterback for the Conroe High School Tigers. And then he picked up a guitar at 13. But he actually knew how to play the violin and performed in his elementary school orchestra before that as well. There's a really cool, I want to check out Conroe, Texas, because this mural that they've got up, it sounds really interesting. There's a large mural of Parker and his musician brother Tyler. It's on the side of Joe's Italian Restaurant in Conroe. If anybody lives out there or if anybody's been out there and you've seen it, shoot a picture my way. Hit me up on streaming platforms, DJ-Chris-Miles on most of the social media platforms, I should say. I'd love to see a picture of it. I've Googled it, so I've seen it, but I'd like to see, some of the other fan pictures as well, too. It's a good way for us to interact, too. He does have an interesting nickname. He's called the Gold Chain Cowboy, and that's because when he started, a fan of the show noticed his signature look, a starch white shirt, baseball cap, and a gold chain, and that's basically what they called him. He does have ranch hand roots. He's also nicknamed the Limestone Kid, which is also the title of his debut album. Over the summer, he would spend time working on his grandfather's cattle ranch in Limestone County. He is a muscle car enthusiast. At his home in New Braunfels, he indulges in his passion for American muscle cars. He owns a Dodge Charger Hellcat Red Eye and a Corvette C8 Z06 as well. He likes to work on cars too, so. And of course, Montgomery County is where he's from. So that's the title of the song. Full circle moment here. 10 years after he graduated, he headlined a concert at the Cynthia Woods Mitchell Pavilion, which is the exact same stage where he walked when he graduated to receive his high school diploma. And he says no matter how big his productions get, he insists that the songwriting is going to remain the core of his very essence. He describes his process of songwriting as trying to write songs that would sound just as good played alone on an acoustic guitar as they do with a full stadium band. He does aim for a balance between the raw songwriting heavy tradition of Texas legends like George Strait and Guy Clark, and, of course, the higher production values of modern country music. He describes his music style as a mix of Texas country heart and mainstream Nashville polish. So check him out. Parker McCollum's latest track, Montgomery County, which will be on some stations. But I have a feeling a lot of you who are into melodies may just take a glance over this and not give it the time that it deserves. Make sure you listen to the lyrics. I think the lyrics are going to be what hones in on it. Like I said, I'm a lyrics guy. I love a great melody too. Don't get me wrong. But the lyrics are the reason. I mean, if we're listening to country music, let's be honest with each other here. We're listening for the lyrics. We're listening for the stories anyways. So, again, Parker McCollum's Montgomery County. It's going to be on the playlist on Spotify. You can find it just by looking up New on Music Row. And if you're in town tonight, make sure you head over to Joe's Live. Avery Anna is going to be playing there. We featured her in the Rising Star Spotlight back in September of last year, September 26th to be exact. So check out that episode. You can find out all about Avery Anna there. Or you could just go check her out at Joe's Live. She's going to be there tonight, the 27th. Check her out. Tickets are still available, although there's probably a limited quantity. But you know what? I'm sure you can probably squeeze your way in there. It's a lot of standing room only. And it's a great place to see a show. And that is the show for the week. So like I said, like, subscribe, leave a comment, share it with your friends, share it with your enemies, anyone for that matter. You can see the video of this podcast on YouTube. And of course, the audio format is available on Apple and Spotify and anywhere else you can kind of stream or listen to podcasts as well. I'm your host, Chris Miles. Thank you again for joining us. We'll be back in a couple of weeks. I'm taking a little bit of vacation, going to be down actually on Music Row. So maybe we'll have some interesting things that happen to me while I'm gone or out there, I should say. Maybe we'll talk about it when I get back. So I'll see you in 2 weeks. And until then, I'll see you on the flip side.